Hello, everyone, and welcome to Windbreaker Podcast, episode number 10 for Monday, February 5th, 2024. I'm Marty Sleva, joined by Frost and Nick Calandra, and of course, producer Eric. Yahtzee sadly could not be here today. His power's been out since last night. Bad storms in the Bay Area, no power for Yahtzee. He tried to put Toffee on a hamster wheel to power a generator, and Toffee was not having any of it. But luckily, we're joined by the Toffee Chimera there in the corner. I hated that, Eric. I hated that so much.
Chimera.
I hated that so
creepy.
much. So yeah, Yahtzee is feeling better. He should be back on Yahtzee Tries on Wednesday, and of course back on this show next week. But thank you all so much for tuning in today. We have a great show for you if you're tuning in live or on your favorite podcast service of choice. And remember that supporting us is supporting independent games media, which we really appreciate. So you could do so over at our Patreon or by hanging out in the comments here and plopping down those super chats, which we get to in the back half of the show. Because today we got a doozy. We got a doozy of a pickle in terms of our topic today, which is, when is a game over? When, for us, like what do we feel about being like, all right, I'm done with this game? Is it when credits roll? Are we post-crediting? Do we have eternal games? Have we finally learned to fight the demons of the SunkCost Fallacy and just be like, you know what, I'm not having fun anymore. We got to leave. So I guess right off the bat, Frost, what for you, when is a game over?
The game's over. Let's see here. This can be weird because Nick and I both, I think we tend to play those forever games. So there are no credits that will say you're done, you know. And those kinds of games is somewhere after the wife's left, but before the kids are gone too, right? So that seems to be the sweet spot for me. The deadline, that's also a nice one. Nice tacked on one. But that's for more the extremes. For me, as soon as I'm not having fun, because I think it's for the best. I leave amicably, and this can be for like Skyrim or whatever. Some people leave like, oh, that's it. You've ruined it. I've had enough of you. Me, I go, I'm not having as much fun as I'd like to be having. And I want to give you another chance later on. I used to be like very like, oh, I got to try it now because I didn't believe that games reheated well. And like, I'm going to try it again later. And I was like, nah.
You don't like games as leftovers?
Yeah, no, some games just don't reheat themselves well, especially because like I didn't vibe with it the first time, and now I know exactly what chapter 1's going to be, so now I'm like doubly bored, right? I'm going to have to slog through to get to the more exciting stuff. So now it's starting at a worse spot than it was before. So for me, it's just as soon as I'm not vibing it, genuinely, that's just it. As soon as I go, not having as much fun as I could have, definitely not SunkCost Fallacy, because that's, if people go, oh, I'm going to be here until I get my $50 back, I go, I will pay $45 to stop right now.
That's just how I will double down to get my hard-earned time back.
Absolutely.
Nick, how about you?
I'm kind of like I feel like the odd one out on this because obviously for the last few years I've been using that Twitter thread to basically track the completed games I've been finishing. And I had a problem a few years ago where like I had a really hard time finishing games that weren't like linear adventures or open worlds that are like at least digestible and not just endless. Like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey comes to mind for that. But this year I've kind of taken a different approach because I've learned as much fun as I've had doing that list, I've kind of gotten stressed out because I'm pushing myself to complete games that are enjoyable, but then I kind of burn out on after a bit. So now I'm kind of back into my problem that I had before, where like I was playing Tears of the Kingdom and made like 50%, finished 50% of the game, and then other games came out, and I'm like, oh, I should go back and finish that at some point. I was enjoying that, but now I'm onto this new thing. So it's kind of, I don't know. For me, it's kind of difficult, and I assume you're going to have the same answer because you and I play a lot of the newest stuff to kind of keep up with these conversations on Twitter and everything. And not finishing a game means you get attacked for being a games journalist and never completing the games you start and all that kind of stuff. So
I just don't tweet, so no one attacks me.
That's true. Marty's got that loophole there.
That's true. That's true.
And I have photographic evidence of all the games I finished because I have a head injury, and I'm like, I'm gonna play all Spec Ops today.
That too. Did you just play that the other day again?
I played the entirety of it yesterday on stream. A nice 4-hour single sitter.
See, love me my single sitters.
Yeah. Let me tell you, chat was putting some bad emotes during White Phosphorus scenes. I'm like, we should not be having fucking Fozzie Bear show up during White Phosphorus. He does not belong there.
I was expecting your pizzazz in the middle of the White Phosphorus.
But as far as this year goes, though, I've been better about like a lot of these indie games I'm trying for like my backlog editor series. Like I enjoyed that, but do I enjoy it enough to like sit through and play another 10 hours of it? Nah, uninstall. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it could be tough. It's funny that Yahtzee's not here for this one, because when is Yahtzee done with the game? And it's when he starts production on
Is he?
on
Yeah.
slightly fully Ramblomatic, and then moves on to the next one. So like Yahtzee has like probably the most regimented answer of possibly literally anyone I know in life, because I think Yahtzee might be the only one who's like, these are the 4 days I play this game, and then it is out of my life, out of sight, out of mind. But bringing up sunk cost fallacy is interesting, because I understand where it's coming from if you are someone who is on a limited budget. Like when I was a kid and I only got 1 or 2 games a year, or 1 or 2 games for every half year, like no matter what the game was, I'm like, I'm going to see this through, because this is all I have. Like, what else do I have? And if that like $20, $40, $60 purchase is very meaningful to you, I understand being like, well, I gotta put in that time because I put up that money. But at this point in my life, my time is so much more valuable to me than my actual money. So I kind of give it like a sniff test. It's almost like food to me. Even if I spent a lot of money on this thing and it starts to smell a little bit off, I'll just throw it away and be like, I don't want to deal with the repercussions afterwards. But there's also, to me, sunk cost fallacy isn't just time, it isn't just money you spend. I also feel like if you really love a series, or if you are really excited for a thing, then you can almost feel like, I love Final Fantasy 16 came out, I'm not enjoying it, but I got to keep going because I love Final Fantasy and that's my thing. Or I was so excited for the new Horizon game and it came out and I'm not vibing with it, but I was so excited for Horizon that I just got to keep pushing through it. And that's, I don't know, that's something that that it's a hard pill to swallow.
It's I think we're gonna have a more unique perspective on it just because our hobby is our job, and so can we really give our final thoughts on Horizon, Forbidden West, unless you finish it? Debatable. But I don't know. I think I don't know. At least since moving to Second Wind, I don't feel as constrained to that anymore, because like we're not tied to SEO or traffic and having to finish those games. So that's the personal side of it, or the business side of it. The personal side of it, for me at least, is the stress in the back of my head that I didn't finish this thing that I started, and I hate that feeling.
Is it like you're less of a gamer? You're less of a man.
Not even less of a gamer. Not even less of a gamer. It is like part of that fallacy of like, well, I already put 25 hours in the Tears of the Kingdom. Did I waste my time by not finishing it?
But did you have fun? Is the thing. Did you enjoy that first?
I did, but now I'm stressed that I didn't finish it.
Like, waste your time. Like, you don't like Miyamoto's not going to come to your house and hand you a certificate. He's not going to be like, congrats, you rolled credits on Tears of the Kingdom. I'm very proud of you, Nicholas.
I got a retweet from Kojima for finishing Death Stranding. That's like close enough.
No, you got a retweet because you gave it another shot. You came back in open-minded. It's not.
No, you got a retweet because you used the word Death Stranding in a tweet, and Kojima will retweet.
Don't take my certificate away from me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Like, Chad, I'm even curious.
You don't get stressed by like not finishing a book that you started or finishing a TV series.
Different,
I think other media are different, which is weird, but I do. Well, okay, so movies. If I start a movie, I'm going to finish it. I can probably count the movies I haven't finished on one hand.
But it wouldn't stress you out if you watched an hour and 20 minutes of an hour and 50-minute movie, and you didn't ever.
No, I would just finish it. I don't like when I sit down with a movie. I down and I finished the movie because it's a single sitting thing, which is
smaller.
Yeah. But shows and books, no. I there's plenty of shows. I'm just gonna bow out of this. I'm either not enjoying it, or I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall. I know exactly what's going on, or other things take priority. Books, usually when I start a book, I finish it, and not even I'm just very particular in what I don't take a lot of chances with books. I'm very, I do the research and I know I'm going to enjoy this thing. Whereas like with games, I'll be like, well, let's see what's going to go on here. Like Frosty, you and I are talking about playing 10,000 demos for Steam Next Fest stuff. And that's easy because it's easy to play a demo and after 5 minutes, if you don't like it, just putting it down. But yeah, I don't know. There's something, games feel different to me for some reason.
Is it an exterior? See, this is interesting because like you're recovering from this, Nick. That was kind of like your new year, new me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like is where if you could put a face in this Rorschach test, right? If you could put a face to the anxiety that is like, oh, you didn't finish. Is it you? Is it the crowd that we're dealing with? Where does this come from? Is it just within you the whole time?
I think it's
Guilt.
I think it's mostly me, and that might have again like I think it's kind of tied to the business aspect of it. Of you want to talk about a game, but do I feel like I can talk about it accurately without finishing it? I don't know, because like whenever if you do a traditional review, any review like of a full product, the very first thing people will be like, oh, did you finish the game? Did you finish the game? Did you finish the game? Oh, you played 40 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but you didn't get to the end. You can't review it then. It's like that's stressful on its own.
That's fair.
But for me, I find I just find that video I edited a week ago or 2 weeks ago now was like that was cathartic for me, because like back at Escapist and everything, I was just so stressed. I felt like I couldn't write an article, I couldn't finish a game or whatever because I was so stressed. I was literally those last few weeks before everything imploded at the Escapist, like I could not play a game without falling asleep. That's how stressed I was. So finishing that video was cathartic, and like I sat down, did this thing from start to finish. And so when I was super stressed at Escapist and under all that environment, like just sitting down and completing a game, even if it was like 5 hours, just felt good, because I was like, okay, I can add something to I did this list, I finished it.
So we can expect you're going to finish Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League?
Fuck no. No.
So what? Like, why does that get a pass?
That's the thing there, where it's like
it's a live service game is never done.
That's one thing. I mean, that to me though, it comes from like, do I care to be a part of this conversation? Like the Star Wars crowd, I don't really care to talk to any of them, so I'm not gonna cram those down my throat. Survival crafters, I'm more pressed to finish those. One, because I like them a lot, and then two, I want to actually have proper thoughts on them, outside of just like, oh, you play this Final Fantasy, or no, Sea of Stars, right? I got about 8 hours in, I was like, that's good. I had a good time. I left amicably, and I have not given a straightforward opinion. No one's come press and like, yo, where's the cold take for Sea of Stars? I was like, that's not necessary right now, I guess.
Yeah, part of it that's not your identity hasn't been like, you're not tethered to certain kind of franchises or things like that, to where it's like, we need to know what Frost thinks about blank. Like, I don't know what would be. I don't know. Like,
Nick's not wrong there.
That might be the one, but I feel like you've talked about and championed so many different games since I've known you, that like, obviously everyone's gonna go to Yahtzee because they know he's such a huge Silent Hill fan, to be like, what do you think of Silent Hill 2 by Bluebird Team, that kind of thing. And so that's a like his crown of thorns to bear, to have to play through that and give everyone his opinion. Which, spoilers, probably not gonna like it.
I think part of the feeling pressed to finish things is what drew me to begin with. So I'm highly selective at the start, and that like gives me a higher ratio of actually finishing the blasted thing. So I guess it's just, if I came in with no expectations and nothing changes, like that's a good one. But if we're talking duty bound, 100%. And I've asked you guys before, I'm like, how much do normal people like go into a review for a piece? I was like, I have to finish it, because what if? That does weigh down on me. Like, what if? Like, but I've weaned back a little bit because I see it like food. What if 50% of what you ate was trash, and then it just gets absolutely delicious, right? Well, that's just a horrible experience.
That's something wrong with the deal.
Well, I think that's the nice thing about now that second win is like I guess the thing about our team in general is like people are here for the personalities and not so much like, ooh, did you give me the most fleshed out objective based review on Suicide Squad? Or like, they know what our tastes are. Did you play Suicide Squad for 2 hours? Yeah. Did you enjoy it? No. Are you gonna finish it? Fuck no. Like, that's kind of, I think, at least on the business side, we're kind of at that place too.
It is funny though, because there are a handful. You brought up Hades, which you did your cold take review of a little while back, and there are a handful of games to where I don't know, if someone played. I'm about 20-25 hours into Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I have my opinions on the game. I have the stuff I like about the game. I have the stuff I don't like. I'm going to keep playing it, but I don't feel like my opinions are invalid on it because I haven't finished it because I'm going at my own pace. However, if someone is like, "Here's my opinion on Hades," I only got to beat my dad once. That was, and then here's my opinion on Hades. Or here's my opinion on Nier Automata. I only got the A ending.
Right.
Or I saw some people when I did my bite size on Highland Song say I made it to the lighthouse. The game's nothing special. Or Void Stranger be like, yeah, I put about an hour and did some puzzles. I don't know. There's nothing special. There are certain games where I'm like, it's shitty to say, but until you get to a point, you actually haven't played the game. And I know that could be a shitty thing. And it's not even it gets good after 15 hours. It's just, you haven't gotten to the thing yet. You're still in the waiting room of the thing. And I understand if you're like, my time is precious. I don't want to have to play through the same Nier 4 times in order to get to the thing. But I'm like, well, if you haven't, you kind of, I don't know. Like, I don't care what you think of Nier at that point because you can't engage in the conversation because you haven't even entered the building yet.
That's right. See, that's why I don't even bother going in there. Like with survival crafters, I know I'm going to be there until whenever the loop starts to open up, and I've got a good decent chunk of it. Right? I think there was even a comment saying that, like, 60 hours seems like a reasonable amount of time to just start getting through the early opening bits and whatnot. And there's some games,
Pal World, you put that much time into Pal World for your review.
And like with JRPGs, and you guys even tell me, I ask you about the Yakuza games, and you're like, I don't know, 20 hours maybe, until you kind of see that first. I like to call it when the loop finally returns.
Sure.
Like finally, I've seen one, and I'll take maybe 2 or 3, but some, they just open up slower. That's just how they go. So I kind of like don't really jump into them to begin with, so it's easier to let go. But I'd say if I have a hard out, it's like, show me the first loop. If I don't like it, I'm just gone.
Yeah, some of those games, I feel like, if you're not enjoying the taste of it after one run through, it's kind of hard to consider going again. I don't know. For me, like I'm that guy. I only did the A playthrough of Nier, but I didn't love it enough to like care enough to go back and experience the rest of it.
And that one's a weird one because that is a strange game to where you roll credits and a message from the developers comes up that's like, "Thank you for playing Nier. We encourage you. Maybe try to play it again and see what happens." And I'm like, you just shouldn't have done that. You just shouldn't have rolled those credits. You just should have been like,
should have just rewinded everything. Yeah, I see credits. I check
just threw up the title screen, to be honest, and been like, oh, that was all the prologue. This is when the game actually begins. But like, I don't know. I totally understand if you're like, well, I don't like, I'm not vibing with this anime bullshit, and the combat isn't doing anything for me. And I'm like, if you want out.
Nuns.
If you want out, you can have everyone. Are the robots in Nier nuns? Sound off.
Are they nuns? They're not nuns.
They're dressed a little bit like nuns.
After Casey finishes Devil May Cry, I feel like Casey should go through Nier Automata.
All the endings. There you go.
All the endings.
I mean, like, this is going to sound like a broken record at this point, but like when you get to the end of Nier, you're like, oh, this is the smartest thing anyone has ever done with video games. Like, this is you're on a different level. Whereas if you play the A ending, you're like, all right, I got a semi chub. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now, though.
But yes, for me, that is my golden rule. I see credits, I'm gone.
And you're like, whoop, all right,
I don't care if I'm not done or not. To me, I'm done.
Do you guys consider yourselves completionists at all? In any completionist, just the term, not the man. We don't need to get into that.
Oh,
but like in terms of like. I see people in Discord and stuff, and people in chat being like, "Oh, I'm not really digging this anymore, but I gotta get all the achievements. I gotta get all the trophies. Like I gotta, man, and this one's a real pain in the ass, so I'm taking a long time." Does that mean anything to you? Because
I have gotten 100% achievements in exactly one game.
Rainbow Six Siege.
Sneaking.
Damn.
Sneaking. Because it had
you had to have gotten 100% achievements and more than that. There's certain games where you just finish it, you get it.
There's one. Okay, there's one achievement. I have one achievement missing in Siege. I have not gotten it yet. But yes, no other game I've ever bothered. I used to care about achievements when I was growing up as a little kid because that's how you get addicted to games. And then I realized I was going for points that gave me no money, and I was like, nah, fuck that. I don't know.
Yeah, like when I'm old and decrepit and on my way out, I really don't think I'm gonna go, God, I should have 100%ed Assassin's Creed. Why didn't I get those flags in Damascus? I'm not gonna feel that. Like not at all. I'm just there. I'm genuinely. I guess I'm a little odd in that I am like the hedonistic critic. And I'm just here for a good time, man. And if I feel like I checked out of a game too early, I almost feel like what is it? What's that thing when you withdraw from a court case because you're too is that what recuse
Abstain?
yourself or something like that?
Recuse, yeah, from the jury.
Yeah, I'll
You
recuse
say something
myself from
racist, you could just
oh, I love jury duty. But yeah, like in was in Sea of Stars, my opinion, I felt it was worth it to anyone who was like, "Oh, I also don't like RPGs. How was it for you?" Well, we can relate to each other. And me saying, "Yeah, pretty solid 8 hours, even for someone who doesn't like it." But if you want a serious opinion, I was like, "No, fifth. I played the fifth. I didn't really finish it. Didn't really finish it proper. I'm only here to like have a great ball in time. Game over. Credits. I think used to be my for like I guess like Far Cry. That was my goal. Actually, that's why it clicked with me the second time. First time I was like, I'm gonna do everything, all the towers. I'm gonna shoot everything.
Yeah.
Unlock the wildebeest foreskin wallet. But now I'm like, I'm just gonna roll the credits. I'm just a straight main storyline.
Yeah.
And
that's a good wallet to be
it is. It's the most capacity you can get in a game. It's just like,
that's and that's like so much open world bloat is from all that content that just amounts to collect this to get achievement.
See, is it bloat or was that me? I went in the first time. I hated it because I did go so I go to the bloody tower and I was like, oh, there's a side quest over here. When you're at the buffet, you don't have to eat the salad. You can. There's no rule against just piling meat on the plate. You get weird looks, but this is nothing against it, really. Korean barbecue, you can just eat meat the whole time.
Having played Suicide Squad, like the amount of time people are putting into these open world games to do those things, I'm starting to think might be skewing developer perception of like why people are playing these games in the first place.
Because, playing it? Are they doing it because they enjoy it, or they're doing it because that's what you're giving them? It's kind of like
yeah. And I feel like Suicide Squad, at least, is maybe the first game where like it's been so egregious about it. Where you guys were on stream with me in the first 2 hours, you are doing open world event style missions that have no mission structure, no uniqueness to them, no nothing. It's just collect this, do that, collect that. Like, people have been so focused on like chasing these objectives for non-scripted, because everybody's like, I don't want linear, I don't want scripted anymore. You know, we've gone like complete open. It's obviously a tangent to the discussion, but that's part of the thing that makes it really hard for me to finish a lot of games now. It's like just a lot of this stuff isn't fun anymore. It's like, and it's not that I don't enjoy games, I love games, but I rescue 3 people and put them in a van on rooftops in Suicide Squad is about the most boring mission design I ever come across in a AAA game in quite some time.
It's an interesting one then, in that sort of same vein. Unless you had something to go with that, Marty. I was thinking, so it's not just bashing on like games over at the credits. What games do entice you to go beyond the credits? Surely, like we've all had that game where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go back and maybe 100% it, or maybe there was something else to look at, or like what drives you to go beyond the like credits are rolling? Are you waiting for the Marvels scene at the end? You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the interesting thing is I appreciate a game that has a very clear point of no return and tells me when that is.
Yes.
The most recent example, I was finishing up Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and there was a bunch of side quests I didn't do. There was a bunch of areas of the map I hadn't explored. There was a couple challenge rooms that I didn't understand how to unlock. And you get to a point where you're like, "Oh, this is it. You're about to fight the big bad. Do you want to go forward?" And I stopped for a little bit, and I was like, "No, man, yeah, maybe some of these challenge rooms were really fun because I know when I roll credits, I am probably done. I am like tapped out on the game. And that doesn't mean I want to roll credits right now, but once I see those credits, I have very little desire to go back into that world to do anything. And that doesn't mean I don't want to do all the stuff before the credits, but like I wrote a piece a few years ago about how when I hit that point of no return in a lot of RPGs, I get this sort of like I used to get this kind of like paralysis where I was like, well, I need to do all this. I need to get a gold chocobo if I'm going to fight Sephiroth, and I need to get Knights of the Round because I need to get everyone's limit break because what's going to happen if I don't go there with that? And then at some point I was just like, is breeding these weird birds bringing me joy? And if not, just go and fight the dude and go kill him. I don't know, Nick, like do you futz around in open worlds or anything like that after you roll credits?
I think the only games I've done that in are like Elden Ring because I could go back and go to the dungeons that I hadn't completed yet, and they're all like super unique, fun areas to explore. I think I went back in The Witcher because I liked a lot of the side quests were actually good. Yeah, I not that many, no, because like her Horizon Zero Dawn is like continue after the credits. I'm like, nah. Forbidden West, same thing. Just as much as like those worlds are super pretty, like the gameplay just never hooked me enough. So I think it's just a case by case basis. If like I finished the game and like I was unintended finished with it, I guess is what I would say. Like Elden Ring, Elden Ring was the game like where I really wanted to go see that entire world. I love that game that much, and I'm like, I'm willing to go right back after the credits and keep playing again. But more often than not, like I'm at that point in Infinite Wealth of Yakuza right now, and there's just so much. And I'm like, a lot of these side, like a lot of the story bits and all that are just these little conversations that you run into, which I know people that are like super heavily invested in the series love that stuff. They love the character building and all that. I'm just not that invested in it. I like the general, here's the plot, and I want to follow that and then finish the game up. So yeah, 99% of the time, if it's like, do you want to continue? That's at the end of the game. If I'm like, yeah, I'm at the end of the game. I'm ready to go. Don't ruin my pacing.
Yeah, you guys are fans of, more so than me, fans of your rogues, your deck builders, your dice builders, your spire slayers, your those kinds of things. So like, what is it about those? Like, when is a game like that done? Is a game like that ever done? Like, Nick, you're still playing Marvel Snap. That's not a game that's ever done, right?
Yeah,
it's just a forever game for you.
Yeah, I mean, like even you brought up roguelikes, like those card games. That's part of the loop. Is just going back again and again, even after you roll credits the first time. But those are so like, maybe the best comparison is Nier Automata, where like to finish that game again and again, it's like a 15-20 hour time investment, where I can finish like 3 rounds of Slay the Spire in an afternoon if I want.
But when is that done? When are you like, I've done it, I've slayed the Spire?
Oh, I don't know. I've never gotten to the complete. I've never gotten to, like, those games are like, you unlock everything. You unlock the cards, you unlock all the enemies, you unlock all the characters you can play as. So there's something like, even if you finish the game, there's still things to unlock more gameplay.
To me, it's kind of like, are you ever really done going to like a restaurant that you enjoy, right? It has this sense of like, I'm here, I had my meal, closure, and then when I'm feeling it, I'll go back to it. So it never ends because it feels like it does. If like after I got a winning run, or I'm just going to play for an hour or something like that. It's because it doesn't press me to continue and push on and complete it that I can finish and come back, which is like, I don't know. It almost sounds backwards in that sense. Like Slay the Spire, you can do, 20 ascensions. I forgot what it's called. You can go for all of that. But in the end, because roguelikes are so like run-based and they're so quick, they're just easier to come back to because it always does feel like it's over. It feels like that joy of revisiting a game, you can get, the sooner a game is done, the sooner you can now start the clock for the separation so that you can go like, oh, I'm feeling a bit of this again, Because like if I finish Witcher, how long before you play Witcher again? Sure, you'll get that itch again. But so with Rogues, it's like, oh, I played it just 2 weeks ago. I'm feeling that itch again. So
that's what I miss about games like keeping their scope in check. Because like I used to be able to go back and just replay the Halo campaigns whenever I wanted, or the Uncharted 1 through Uncharted 2 and 3. I have no problem playing those over and over again. Even though First Last of Us, I have no problem playing again and again. But like Last of Us Part 2, I want to replay, and it's like, oh, I got to put 25 hours in this thing. Like, oh yeah.
25, because I don't remember how long that game was, because I played it in like 2 sittings.
Yeah, me too.
Like in squalor. Like I was like, don't look at me. I need to see what happens at the end of this game. And so like I feel like it was all a fever dream.
That is a long campaign. That is like maybe 25 hours is exaggerating, but 15 to 18 hours at least. Yeah, and like you can finish most Uncharted 2, 3, Last of Us in probably 8 to 12.
Yeah,
I don't know, but again, that's an us thing because we have so many games to check out every week that it's hard for me to like consider like sitting down and replay a game I've already finished.
Yeah, but then you have we talk about people's forever games. Like you are playing, you keep playing Marvel Snap, you keep going back to Rainbow Six. Like Yahtzee talks about how he rolls a new farm in Stardew Valley every once in a while. Casey is constant streams Smash Brothers once a week until the heat death of the universe.
But
Or
those aren't
Nintendo finally
games.
gets them.
Those aren't games like I'm trying to complete though. I'm just playing them because I enjoy them.
Yeah, but that's so there's no end to that enjoyment. There's no like, I guess for us, that's a good point you made of like, if you have a place where you're a regular at and you keep going back, no one's ever like, why do you keep going to you're not going to the Cheesecake Factory because you want to finish everything on the menu. You're going to the Cheesecake Factory because you like the way they, because you like the, you're going to get your checklist and
They
everything.
have 250 items. I'm going to have one of each eventually.
Yeah, I stopped going to Qdoba when I walk in there, like, we know what you want. I'm like, okay, I need to stop coming here.
Or you need to find another Qdoba. But the other side of town.
That's the best. I love being a regular where they name the food after me because it keeps getting that same thing over and over. I love it.
You want one of those columns at Cheesecake Factory to be like molded in your bust.
Yeah, name it after me. See, that's their problem.
On the wall or a big spender nickel.
Because Cheesecake Factory represents a very finite amount. Even though it's 250, it feels more like the original Pokemon. Of you're like, there's 100. Okay, cool. McDonald's, I don't know how many items they have, but I've got like just three that I go through, and that's it. But it's also like depending on the game, like Casey with his fighting games, that's more like a guitar. Are you ever really done learning the guitar?
Yeah, or like a sport, or like I'm getting into running. I don't have like a goal. I'm just gonna keep running every day.
Like Snap, and like Siege feel like new games every season to me because they change the meta up every new season. So you're constantly relearning the game as you play in some form. So I don't know. Yeah, it's those, I think, forever games and then like the SunkCost Fallacy of actually completing games, two separate things for me.
Yeah, that's why we touched on it earlier, but there is I find something really nice about a game like a single sitter, a game that I can complete. I could sit down and I could play and I could see its ending in that exact sitting, and that's something like Journey or Spec Ops or a Short Hike or Firewatch or even the Silent Hill thing that released last week. The Short Message is like a 90-minute, 2-hour game, and you see it to the ending. And I don't know, there's something nice about just again, maybe that comes from because I'm a I go to the movie theaters every week to see something. It reminds me of that. It reminds me of sitting down and being like, this is the entire experience, and I can go out to dinner with someone or get drinks afterwards, and I can talk about what this thing is. And it's not like, oh, I've been playing it over the course of weeks and weeks, and I've already forgotten what happened in my first playthrough. Maybe that's my memory though. I have games that I'm not afraid to start. Don't tell anyone I was afraid to start them because I'm not afraid to start them. But games I'm weary of starting because I know I need to like set. It needs to be in the right mood. Yep. Not like a weird sex thing like with the candles and rose petals and stuff. But like Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is a game I haven't like. I feel like I'm gonna love this game. I have so many things people have said. I'm like, I'm gonna love this game, but I'm like, I need to wait until the time's right, and I don't know when the time is gonna be right. And I feel the same way about Undertale too. And I don't know why. Time is right now for Alan Wake 2 because you're going to get in a big spoilery script from Java soon. Oh, no.
Better run, Marty.
Shit. Well, he was so good about not spoiling anything in his Outer Wilds video. Oh, no. Yeah, there you go. Maybe that is the reason. Yeah. Do you guys have anything like that? Do you have any, like, not bucket list, but games that you're like, I'll get to this eventually, but, like, I need to, the mood needs to be right?
That's like
Infinite
all games.
Yeah, Infinite Wealth was like that for me.
Oh, really?
Because like, when I play a Yakuza game, it's like I have to, for whatever reason it is, I have to sit down and complete this thing over the next few days, or I will never finish it. Kind of thing is what I know of myself. And so, like Infinite Wealth, I was at like 12 hours last Thursday, and over the weekend now I have 35 hours into it. I'm like, oh, what did I do? And I'm like, oh no. So
how many Sujimon do you have though?
I'm not. No, I'm not doing that.
How big is your Dondoko Island?
The only reason I did anything with Sujimon was to get one of my stats up so I could be the samurai job.
There you go.
And then I spent an extra 5 hours grinding to get a stupid sword. So yeah, thanks Yakuza, you got me. But yeah, I think for me, it's not so much a mood. It's more of like just, all right, I'm sitting down, I'm putting my time investment into this thing, and I'm not leaving until I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Unless I have other responsibilities like taking a shower or letting the dog.
Put on your gamer diaper, and you're like,
I put on my gamer. Yeah,
On you
put on
and
my
the
gamer
dogs.
diaper. Got the Mountain Dew. Got the dogs like leashed up and ready to go. I'm like, all right, it's time.
My
going
game
back to it,
there
Frost,
is.
are you done with Pal World? Out of curiosity.
Kinda.
At
Girlfriend's
the
gonna
time
start it
being?
up, so I feel like I'm gonna
No.
play with her. Like even after my 60 hours, I put in another 15 with friends who hadn't played it,
Okay.
and so
Man,
girlfriend's
you're
gonna play
gonna
it
love that
too,
game.
probably even more, right?
Mhm.
Because it's just that's just my genre. I don't know. I could play that all the time. I always say your genre is not the one you love; it's the one that you can still play even when you're like, oh, I'm so sick of this. And that is for me roguelikes, survival crafters, and these new bullet heavens where I'm like, I'm at 200, I don't want anymore. But as soon as you get me in front of that, as soon as I see it just go tink tink tink, I'm like, all right, I'm here, I'm locked in. So like that game though, it's funny you mention it. After she's done playing it, I probably won't touch it again until it's actually done, right? And then
Yeah.
I'll just go for the ending and then see how I feel on that. But no, my like I'm scared to get into it is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
That is looming, man, because I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put some time into it, and I'm afraid of if I receive a game as middling. Not to say the game itself is middling, but you don't just it's like a personality test. It's like dating. You don't get along with everybody with a nice face, and they're like, oh, my friends say all great things about her. We just don't vibe that way, right?
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of just being stuck in a room together and just like, yep. So you eat food, yep. Like that's,
Yep.
You eat food?
you eat food, yeah. I eat it all the time, three times a day.
Baldur's Gate 3 is one of those games that's stressing me the hell out right now because like I'm at Act 3, I'm ready to finish that game, and every time I sit down to play it, I'm like, ugh, I have so much more to do.
Let's see if it's stressful. If
But I
You're
love
not
the
going
game.
to it with
I
joy.
enjoy it.
You do like
I
the game,
enjoy
though.
it.
Yeah.
It's just the time investment. I'm like, I got all this other stuff to do. I got all these other games to catch up on. Like, I'll find time to finish this at some point. And it's just like for me, it's just my gaming habits. Is like when I sit down, I just gotta like basically commit to it, or I won't do it. And that's more of like I think that's more of a personality thing of like I think that's the way I am with like a lot of projects is like I need to basically like lock myself in a room and just do it. And I don't even have ADHD or anything. I just get sidetracked.
It is. I'm just here for like I want the strong emotion. So what I kind of do is I have this list of games I feel I should have played as I'm fleshing myself out. So like, BioShock 2, I never played it. I feel like I should, right? So I have a few hours where I'm just like it's my catch up time. And it'll always be the same 2 hours in the day, and that's devoted to that, whatever. But if there's a game that I just have that just comes out and I absolutely love, it's gonna be prioritized over everything else. Like right now, I'm feeling I should probably try Dragon's Dogma and crack out a review for that before Dragon's Dogma 2 comes through. But I'm also looking at this list, and Nightingale's coming out, Pacific Drive's coming out, Sons of the Forest is going 1.0. Those are just gonna be
all like the same day or the same week.
They're like all the same game and the same day. Yes. But I know those are just gonna eat my time.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like people that are subscribed to Game Pass probably actually feel like more like Games Media than they might realize. I have all these new games to play. I can't get to them all. What am I doing?
Then you wake up and you're like, well, Persona 3's here. Maybe I should. And then there's always this looming like they might take it off at some point. And so like, maybe I should jump in.
Oh God, yeah, that too. Like I know I should play Persona 5. Right, I just feel like you got to play the Persona 5 if you're gonna be in this space, and maybe that's just a me thing. I feel like you should. I don't know when to get going into it.
You're gonna be with us,
yeah,
because we won't shut the fuck up about it. Yeah. Well, like with Baldur's Gate, like you said, maybe you could have the final word on it. You didn't have the first word on it, but you'll have the final word. You wait till everyone is done talking about it, give it like a year or two, and then be like, all right, I'll have the final word on it.
That game though, like the systems are so heavy. Those are the ones that are just terrifying to me.
Yeah,
and so I'd rather not start them than, all right, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 until I hit the credits, because I feel like that's a disservice. I think people, if nothing else, sure, it's nice to be timely. It's nice to do your duty, but I feel like more than anything else, people are just curious to hear what you really enjoy, what you're really passionate about. And they can tell the difference between like, oh man, I haven't slept and it's great versus like, all right, I finally finished this game. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I know when I'm enjoying a game because like I my sleep schedule has just gone back to like at 11 o'clock. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed. I don't want to play a game or anything. I just want to either watch an episode of a show and then go to sleep. Yakuza Infinite Wealth, like my roommate goes to work at 3 a.m. Because he works a night shift at a furniture mart, and I'm sitting down here playing Infinite Wealth. The last time I looked at my clock, it was like 11:15. And all of a sudden, I hear like him in his work boots upstairs. I'm like, what fucking time is it? Oh, it's 3 a.m. Should go to bed. And that's how I knew I was enjoying that game.
When a nerve in my hand starts hurting. If like it's a big weekend,
I'm not that
I played so much and I got like a nerve in my hand that hurts.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Pinky goes on the fritz.
Yeah, exactly. We can jump over to super chats because there's a lot of great little talking points here where we'll jump off into other conversations. So yeah, remember everyone, get your super chats in there, your donos. Right now, all of them are going towards our big GDC plans for March after we film Adventures Nigh Season 4. Folks will be out in San Francisco and we'll be making Yahtzee go outside and speak to video game developers and show things off. So pay money if you want to see Yahtzee forced outside of his home and into the scary wilds of San Francisco.
J-Mate's going too.
And J-Mate's going. There you go.
And I'm going.
That. British invasion.
Well,
you're not part of the British invasion. None of them are part of the British invasion.
No, I'm part of the Midwest invasion. That's worse.
That's true. What a terrible invasion. Right off the bat, Drew, thank you so much for upgrading your membership to the Green Gang. And Quintuple A with a $10 dono. Thank you so much. Okay, Eric, didn't think you would do it. I believe that's in reference to that terrifying chimera that Eric has created, the Toffee Calandra.
That's what
I mean, you know he's not going to like that. Yahtzee's not going to. That's what you looked like when you were playing games at 3 a.m.
Just
Jack,
bug-eyed.
Yeah, there you go. Jackson Jewel with a $10 dono. Thank you so much, Jackson. I almost always have to finish a game. Even if I'm not having fun, I want to see it get better. Most recently, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. I fell in love with the last third. Have more money to finish my sentence. Thank you. I do agree. Like, for me, Crisis Core is a funny one because that is a game that for me came together at the end as well. Yeah, I mean, are there games you guys can remember pushing through and then looking back on and being like, I'm glad I did, because when I thought it wasn't worth it, it turns out it actually was to get to a certain point?
Entropy Center.
Oh,
1000%. Yeah, it was kind of like, meh, sure at the start. Middle bit was very dry. And I honestly, if it wasn't for me having to do a 3 or more on it, I probably wouldn't have made it all the way through.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, this game is just amazing near the back end. It all just comes together.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I think that might be the only time.
You're like, why didn't they? I don't know. I guess there's always that fear of we can't release something that's 3 or 4 hours because people will get mad. So we have to pad things out in the middle. And that's why you get middles of games that feel kind of soggy.
See, it's funny because I feel like there's no way this was intentional, but I feel like the middle part was just so clean, so well made that it came off as incredibly sterile, right? It's like you're in a hospital for the middle bit of it. That's what it feels like. But then in the back end, I feel like they were either getting tired or something because the puzzle started getting a little sloppier, which let me solve them in more interesting ways than what was before. It started to feel more like that little immersive sim, the Mona Lisa or Lisa Mona. I forgot what it's called. And I'm like, this is cool, and it ties back into the whole idea of entropy because it's essentially Portal. But if you can solve a chamber in different ways, you create more entropy. But the first bit, they're super rigid. In the end game, they're super sloppy. And I'm like, oh, man, I could just break this and get on this. I'm clipping into the wall right now. I don't think I should be doing that. But it just ties into the narrative. And I was almost... The way that people talk about Outer Wild, that's how Entropy Center near the ending was for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was the one time I'm like, okay, I'm glad I stuck through. And it kind of stays in the back of my head. But also that game was like, I don't know, 5 hours.
Yeah, so that's
I'm not doing that for like a 50-hour.
Yeah. What about you?
If I'm not feeling, was it Ragnarok? I'm not gonna keep going.
You're just gonna step away. Yeah.
I'm looking back through my completed games list. Yakuza Kiwami. That one definitely for me got better in the second half.
Yeah.
I would also say Death Stranding is probably the biggest example. Like the first quarter of that game is very and then you get into the groove of it and you're like, all right, I get it, I love this. But
perfect game. Thank you, Hideo Kojima. Thank you for bestowing Death Stranding 2 on us. Finally, another game in the beloved Strand genre.
Yep.
I've watched that trailer so many times. It is disgusting how many times I've watched that Death Stranding 2 trailer. That man and his goddamn baby.
What about you, Marty? Any redeemers? Any late bloomers?
I'm gonna be honest. The first time I played Persona 5 was a late bloomer for me.
Ooh.
I tried to play it at launch and it didn't do anything for me. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe again, it came out right in the afterglow of Breath of the Wild, and I was like, this isn't doing anything. This is tough. Like
you call this a dungeon?
And it didn't click with me. And I put it down after a few palaces, and then I don't know. I kept hearing people talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, but it's like it's JRPG, but then you also like hang out with your buds." I'm like, "Why the fuck would I want to hang out with my buds? I have real buds to hang out with." And then I don't know. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe it was just the right mood of finally playing it, and then you had that Danny DeVito like I get it moment where I was like, "Oh no, I get it." And then I finished it, and I'm like, "I need all of it now." And then I went back and just started devouring, Persona 4 Golden and the dancing games and the dungeon crawlers and the fighting games. And I was like, oh, this is an unhealthy relationship. And that unhealthy relationship has blossomed into true love. So there you go. Wojtek, $10 dono. Thank you so much, Wojtek. I used to always 100% games, but AC Valhalla broke me of that habit.
Yeah. AC Odyssey. If that didn't break you, Valhalla would have done that. That being said, Valhalla did have better side quest. Did it though? Well, I don't. I'm thinking back to like Odyssey, like the philosopher side quests were actually quite funny. But yeah, I guess
I thought you were gonna say the Velociraptor side quest, and I was like, oh,
if that was in the game, that would have made the game immediately better. But yeah, like Valhalla added so like between the main campaign and then all the stuff you do in Asgard, and then all the like that game ended up becoming games as a service with all the expansions they did. Yeah, I tried to play there was like an Irish expansion, and I tried to go back to that, and I did it for a while, and I dropped it. Just can't.
Is Assassin's Creed the one that cures everyone of their 100% completion?
Odyssey was the first. Like Origins, I felt like it was completable. Odyssey was ridiculous. And not only because there's so much to do, but because the map is so spread out because you have to sail everywhere, and the sailing in that game is not very fun.
I like the idea that we're all kids who snuck cigarettes in middle school, and Ubisoft found out and was like, "Here, smoke the entire pack." We're like, "I don't want to
smoke the entire pack plus like 10 more packs."
I won't do it anymore. I promise.
You're a chain smoker 24/7. And you will like it.
That's a Creed Red coming this fall. Heroth87, thank you so much for the dono. I tend to like early games, so I seldom finish Civ, Total War, or RimWorld. On the other hand, the look at long games can almost keep me from restarting it. So you tend to like early games. So you like the early portion of the game, like you have fun in the like setting things up portion of the game.
Dynamic, they're easier to vibe with it, but if it starts a little slower like Civ, and you got to set up the pieces, they probably don't prefer those. Which I kind of like just get me to the meat and then introduce the sides.
Yeah, one of my cardinal sins as a gamer too, because I guess we brought it up earlier, but we didn't really get into it. Was like after credits, right? A lot of these games now have after credits and their entire end game. The whole point of the early game is to get to the end game. Yeah. And I have never jived with that. Everybody's like, the end game. Like, I don't know.
It's funny because that's like an MMO term. These live service games are just turning into MMOs.
Yeah. Well, that's like, it's a topic for another day probably, but like, like live service stuff in particular, like I don't think live service as a concept is bad. What's bad is the execution of it and all of these grindathon mission designs that are there's nothing memorable about any mission you do in Anthem. Like if anybody's played Anthem, there's not one memorable moment in that game.
No one actually played Anthem, so
it
was a game that existed, but no one actually played it. It was very
Suicide Squad is going to be the same thing where everybody like there's cutscenes. I'll remember that penguin cutscene because that was funny as hell. But as far as gameplay, not a single thing I remember from it. Going back to Uncharted, I'll remember every scripted moment in that game for until as long as I live. Falling out of a plane, falling out of a train, falling out of a tree, whatever it is. Like,
And just falls a lot, doesn't
yeah, he does fall a
He
lot.
does fall a lot, and he slides on his ass a lot and goes, no,
But
no, no,
like,
no, no.
yeah.
he?
Yeah, that was my Nolan North impression.
But
Extended.
apparently, like, sorry, like going back to Destiny, like the end game of that is the whole point to get to the raids and everything, which are part of the end game. Like, it's just such an investment to get to stuff like that.
That's
Yeah,
for
I just think
people
it's
that can't.
like you consider it an investment, and other people consider it the journey.
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's like the amount of time you've had to put into Siege to get to where you're at now. Like other people would be like, "What the fuck is that guy doing? Like, why are you playing that game so much when there's other games that have come out?" And so it's like,
Yeah.
get like I don't know, like literally every discussion we have on any of these shows, it's one of those like ultimately boils down to teach their own kind of
Yeah.
thing. But
Yep.
that doesn't make for the most interesting discussions.
Nope.
Extended Club Mix with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Extended Club Mix. Sorry, video games, but the stories are never interesting enough to get to the end. The story flow of a game is so different than movies and books.
Yeah.
I don't think never. That's a hard use of the word never, because I think there are some games where the stories are absolutely worth getting to the end. Like
The
Nier.
wrap up. Oh yeah, which ending?
Yeah, you got to get the ending E.
Oh my god!
Don't worry about
Everyone
the ones
has-
after E. Those are goof endings. But
Somebody said there was ending M. How many endings does that game? Does it have 26 endings? Is that what it said?
yes, yeah, but some of them
Jesus.
are goof ones you can get by, like you can look at your inventory and you have like a CPU chip in there.
Yeah,
and
and it just
if you
goes right to
unequip the
the ending.
CPU chip, your character just dies because like that's like their power source.
Yeah, right.
And you get an ending there. So the A through E endings though are the actual like playing the game through endings.
Gotcha.
I think there's plenty of games with great stories. You kind of like, I don't know. I think The Last of Us is worth playing for its story, and I think a lot of RPGs are, and then a lot of indie games are worth playing for their story. So
Such an
I think
odd
on the whole,
phrase. Well, I
What's
think
that?
The Last of Us is worth playing for its story, whereas I'm here like I'll wait for the show.
understandable, yeah, because the show is probably a better rendition of the story than the first game was, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of just how you want to experience your stories, I think.
Yeah,
Last of Us. I mean, I like the gameplay of Last of Us, I think.
If I'm done with it, I'll just like, all right, I'm enough of that Wikipedia plot. Neat. Like, that's
sure.
That's just how it goes. So I can definitely feel that, but yeah, like you said, some people want to play a tangible ending to their story.
Yeah, and I just played the Spec Ops: The Line yesterday, and that game, like, that's as good of an anti-war story as we've had in anything over the past 15 years. So it's good. I will say though, like, by and large, a lot of video game stories incredibly forgettable.
Oh yeah.
At least their endings. I would like it when they end on a high. Like Far
Yeah.
Cry 3 I went through, and the ending compared to, I guess it would be the second act where you end up killing Vaz. And I'm like, that's it. That's the thing I was most invested in, but you're telling me there's still more? Like, why am I still here? It just could have ended right there. So, like last campaign that I feel ended on just like that was Modern Warfare 3, the old one, where Captain Price just chokes him out, and that's it. Has a cigarette. Boom, we're done.
Yeah. I think stories were better when especially in the AAA space, just when the games were shorter, didn't have to plot everything out, like or pad everything out. Just I don't know, like every story I remember from a big AAA game is relatively short. Maybe aside from some of the longer ones, like Ghost of Tsushima story, I remember because that was a great story through and through. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I remember the big story beat. I don't remember like how I got there. Ghost of Tsushima, I like remember beat for beat what happened in that game.
It's funny. I really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima. I could not tell you a single thing about what its story was about.
Just remembers Tokyo.
I do not remember anything from the story. I really liked it the entirety of my playthrough, though. So I just remember like hanging out in hot tubs, just lounging naked in the middle of the woods. It was great.
Even Jason 01 says OG Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 is such good action movie endings. Yeah, those the old Call of Duty games had great stories to them too. Like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 1 through 3, I think were all very memorable. But I couldn't tell you a damn thing that's going on in the new Modern Warfare games. Those stories are terrible.
They're not great. Dr. Theo, thank you so much for the $5 dono. I'm always bad when it comes to finishing games, to the point where my New Year's resolution is to beat Persona 5 in 2024. What a resolution it is. I believe in you. Also, make sure you're playing Royal. And also make sure you look up a non-spoiler guide to how to unlock the 3rd semester, because you haven't truly beaten it unless you've played all 3 semesters, just like
God damn
life.
it.
Why would you do this?
Just
I
like
know.
life.
I don't know. Maybe like another pandemic comes around and I'll play Persona 5 like I did with One Piece. It was during the pandemic that I got to catch up on One Piece.
You heard it, guys. If you want Frost to play, you better start coughing
Yeah.
in public.
Just licking everything. Yeah.
Next time you're on a train, just start licking everything. Fox D with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Fox. I love games that are either, quote, session games like Truck Sim Delivery, or games where the engagement is endless across years like The Sims 4 and Skylines. Yeah, those almost feel like different. Those like feel like
It's kind of never-ending games.
Yeah, they feel like less like, I don't want to say like a work of art, because that's a shitty way to put it, but they feel like if you're a fan of, like, I don't know, a sport, or if you have a hobby, like for us, a guitar, it's like one of those things that it's just something you do. You like cooking, there's no end to it. You just like cooking. You like playing guitar. You like watching baseball.
DoorDash is the final boss of cooking.
Oh no. But yeah, that's. I feel like most people, I think, have one or two of those forever games in their back pocket that they kind of go to as like a little comfort food game.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley Thomas, $5 Thank you so much. I'll sometimes stop playing before the end deliberately so I don't have to finish. Other games I entirely finish. Some I quit midway through. Yeah, I wonder if you stop deliberately so you don't have to finish. Like, is that like you don't want to like say goodbye to those characters, or
I was going to say in a different context that would make somebody very unhappy.
Hubba hubba. Was that a hubba hubba?
Hubba hubba.
Oh my god, a hubba hubba.
I've never done that with a game. Of like, I'm having a good time, so I'm not going to finish. No smart games. I did that with House of Cards after season 1, I think, or 2. Like, as soon as he becomes president, and I saw there were more seasons, I was like, no, this is as far as this goes. Train stops
probably
here.
Probably a good move on your part, honestly. Bowing out while it's on top.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've never not finished a game because I was enjoying it.
Before the end. That's as much SunkCost Fallacy as I'll have. Of like, I've gotten this far. It's just right there.
Yeah, there's like people get anxiety though when you get to if like a show you've been watching for a decade and it's finally going off the air, and you're like, man, this is the last new adventure I'm going to have with these characters. I feel like there was like a single month back in 2019 when Avengers Endgame and the Game of Thrones finale aired. Mm-hmm. And like those were big. Like, obviously neither of those are done because we have House of the Dragon and 10,000 more hours of MCU stuff, but like it felt like the closing of a chapter on 2 long form stories that had been with us for the better part of a decade apiece. And so
I have never thought of it that way. And I'm more worried about being spoiled. So I gotta finish this shit.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. I'm not. Spoilers don't really do too much for me.
It's very sentimental.
If a spoiler can ruin a thing, that thing was built on shoddy foundation, in my opinion.
There you go. Would you kindly?
I don't know. I feel like if you got spoiled of like certain character to have something like Breaking Bad, it would take away the complete shock of the moment.
See, you say that, but like. Almost said Breaking Saul. Better Call Saul. You know Nacho's gonna die. Like some of them, they're destined to die, right?
So well, yeah, that's a prequel though. Breaking Bad wasn't a prequel to anything. I had no idea what was coming in that show.
Fair. Yeah, but again, if it doesn't hold up, can a show hold up on a rewatch?
Yeah.
So you say Red Wedding, but there's people who've read the books.
Well, I know that, but I mean, like for me, I didn't start on Game of Thrones until season 3,
right?
And I never had the Red Wedding spoiled for me somehow until then. And when that moment hit, like I remember like just sitting there with my mouth like, and I like went downstairs, my mouth was still like, and the mom's like, "What happened?" It's like, I can't tell. You gotta watch the show.
This guy, yeah, no.
I rewatch shows all the time, and I probably liked Game of Thrones more on a rewatch than I did the original time. Same thing with Mad Men, same thing with Lost and The Leftovers.
Yeah, but I'll never have that feeling of shock again seeing that scene for the first time. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, I guess it's rather it's almost like yeah.
Not again.
Yeah, it's happening again. Spectrable with a $10 dono. Thank you so much, Spectrable. I feel your pain, Nick. Not to plug, I try to finish every game I can at Mojo Plays, but folks forget that games media is kind of forced to move on regardless of completion. You don't get the time to breathe. Yeah, that's Spectrable. It's just one of those things. It's not a thing to complain about the job, but it's just by virtue of the line of work, it's kind of like you need to, at certain points, go with the flow of what the conversation is. And when the conversation is on something, you want to have an opinion on, so you want to have played it. But then when the conversation's off it, you're like, oh, is my time better spent, like Frost said, preparing for Dragon's Dogma, so I have something to say when Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out? Or do I want to just go back to a game that's going to bring me joy from 3 years ago? So
There you go.
tough
Yeah.
to juggle.
Yeah, I mean the cadence of releases is so crazy. Like, shit, I remember when I started doing this back in, like 2009 up until like 2012. Like, you get a big AAA game maybe every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And now, and especially like indie games back then were nothing really to write home about until Xbox Live Arcade came around. And so now you have interesting releases that are worth playing and talking about like every 3 days. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You just can't keep up. There is no way to keep up. So
That's why you have to also, like, everyone needs to be willing to be like, I don't have an opinion on this. I don't have to have a take on everything.
Yeah, that's the freedom from that. I think
No,
it's
that's why
mostly
we-
because of, like,
that's
social
why we
media
have
being dead.
that's why we have a huge team at Second Wind, so we can have opinions on everything.
Yeah. I mean, but also, if no one is like, at a certain point, am I gonna like pretend to care about this Xbox news that's going on? Because I don't. I'm like, if they stop making consoles, whatever, that's fine. Just fucking put it up. I don't care what box I play this thing on. Just make a game. Just give me a game.
The pressure's kind of gone too now that like YouTube, like content creators who only play Rogues or they only play Final Fantasy games, right? Like, you want a proper opinion, go ask that guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to get it from me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more willing in that regards because I feel like I'd rather have a strong opinion on any one thing than like, oh yeah, I played it because so I don't end up taking it out on everyone. I was like, I played it. You better ask me so many questions about this horrible game.
Put 40 hours into this. Better
Yeah.
get my time, my money's worth. Math Demigod with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. How about games that have no end, like MMOs and live service games? The SunkCost Fallacy keep us playing forever. It's also tough when people, if you've invested money and time into something, if you've like been like, I've spent hundreds of dollars making this character, and like, is it harder to be like, I'm done with it? Because you're not only just throwing out an experience, but you're throwing out, like, it's like cleaning out your closet and throwing away some of your clothes and stuff.
Or the Steam backlog, which everybody that has a gaming PC knows about.
I cleaned mine out.
Yeah,
just
it
get
will
rid of
always
stuff.
fill back up.
Yeah, but that's different than like, I've put 400 hours into this thing, so I feel like I need to keep
But
going.
in Steam sale, you invested $200 in 40 games that you'll never touch, and every person knows what that's like. It's like, I spent all this money. Oh, I'm never gonna get to these games. Immediate stress. You're like that.
See, so that's $200 I'd put into the bookstore or something like that.
Yeah, Steam has completely capitalized on the impulse buyers.
Yeah,
And also the fear of missing out.
Yeah. Extended Club Mix with another $5. Thank you so much. After 100% reviews, should all be like, I liked the game until I had to spend equal to the game's length doing chores, and now I hate it. Yeah, I mean, that's, if you look back at a game and you're like, how much of this did I actually enjoy? And that's not like you can't use math to cut something up like that, but you're like, if I put 50 hours into a game and only enjoyed myself for 10 hours of it, like, can you actually recommend something that feels that I don't know, that bloated?
Yeah, I will never ever get behind the cost per hour fallacy. I will never get behind that because I would just feel awful about everything.
Yeah, I mean, I understand if you're coming from a place where you don't have a lot of money, but
yeah. But also, if you don't have a lot of money, you're probably way more selective about the game you play. Like, I'm
there's
only
also
going
just
to
a lot of
buy
free
Call
shit
of
you can
Duty.
play.
Well, yeah, but like, people that are, I think a lot of people that are like super selective about their money, because I have those friends. Call of Duty, Madden, they're free to the Fortnite, whatever it is, and those are the games they stick with them. And you have to do some heavy lifting to even get them to consider a single player game that they're going to spend $40 on that they may or may not finish or enjoy, when they can just spend $20 on or $10 on Lethal Company, and they know they're going to get 10,000 hours of playtime out of that thing.
Jesus Christ. See, I buy horror games, and I'm usually done with them at around 2 hours, like whether I finish them or not. But that's just how it feels, I suppose. Of just like I already paid the money. There's no getting it back. I'm not gonna like commit to esports and try to make thousands of dollars on a team or whatever.
Yeah.
So, if nothing else, I think that should be an interesting talking point, like you said here. After 100% review, it's more interesting for me to hear someone go, "I loved it so much, I 100%ed it," than just, "Yeah, I 100%ed it." You know?
Yeah, like that to me is great. If you like still, and if you're like, I did every single thing in this game, and I had a great time. And I'm like, that sounds great. Absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Like if
Well,
that's what's bringing you joy, and it's not like I felt a compulsion to do this.
Yeah, well, that's like people like that get on game reviewers for not completing the game. It's like they clearly didn't enjoy it enough to complete it, so that should tell you their opinion on it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Horth, back on another dono. Thank you so much. Talk to LTT. They root for you when you come up.
That's referring to Linus Tech Tips.
Oh,
and
I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, somebody highlighted that they mentioned us on the podcast the other day, and they were pretty surprised by our numbers because on their first, when everything went down, they were kind of talking about the numbers on the Escapist and had some opinions that didn't really make sense. Well, actually, they echoed opinions that would have come from our corporate owner at the time.
Thank you, Linus. You're my second favorite Linus after Linus from Peanuts, the boy who carries a blanket behind him. He's my number one Linus. King and Commoner with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. I nabbed 100% in Breath of the Wild, and it made me almost rush through Tears of the Kingdom because I didn't want to do it again. And again, the greatest troll job in video game history is that if you get 100% of the Koroxes in Breath of the Wild, your gift from Hestu is a little piece of shit. It's like literally it's Hestu's gift, and it's just a little turd, and that's all you've done. You've done it. You've done the hardest thing in Zelda history. Here's a little piece of shit. That's great. That's what Nintendo truly thinks of us. And I like it. Let me tell you, that's the kind of relationship I like having with Nintendo.
Just like Nintendo beating you up every once in a while.
Exactly. Please, sir, may I pre-order my Super Switch now? Humane Shield with a $10 dono. Thank you so much, Humane Shield. Games that have ending locked behind paywalls or extreme grind walls. Is a company milking a fan base, and most of those endings have little to no effort put in them. I feel like that's not a thing that pops up a ton anymore. I mean, recently we have the New Game Plus thing with the deluxe edition of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to play New Game Plus, which is stupid. It's just stupid as hell, in my opinion.
Why don't I just start a save again?
That's because you don't get to like unlock. You don't get to like play with your, you don't get the new Game Plus perks, I guess.
Why would they? That's so weird.
Yeah, and also like to me, that's just like starting to get greedy with their people's interest in Yakuza in the West.
Oh yeah,
they already
do that with Persona. The DLC server Persona is not worth the money, and I buy it every time because I'm an idiot. Yeah, but they used to. I remember the endings locked behind paywall things. Like there was a point in the 360 PS3 generation that was a big. Asura's Wrath famously has its last couple chapters that were DLC. Like it's just the ending to the story. Yeah.
Oh,
like some real crap.
What are there other examples? I don't remember a lot of games locking their endings behind a paywall aside from their epilogue chapters.
Yeah, epilogue chapters, which were like quote unquote the true endings of the game. I think but one of the Dead Spaces did that. Final Fantasy X too. Again, a lot of games, there's that point in the generation, like the late aughts, early teens,
what can we get away
games
from?
Games were seeing how much they could get away with, and I think luckily that's mostly been kind of strewn to the wayside. So yeah, thank you so much.
Shadow of Mordor tried to do that. I don't remember that either.
I don't remember anything.
If you finish the game, you'd know.
I finished the game. I just don't ever go back to DLC campaigns. Really, I think the only DLC campaigns I've ever like gone back to do. I know I did. I think I know what you're referring to with Dead Space was the Awakening or whatever from Dead Space 3. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I don't really go back to expansions very often. Bethesda's expansions are usually their own self-contained things. The Witcher expansions are their own self-contained things.
Yeah, there was a very, very specific time. Where some real horse hockey, as Jesse would say. Toad MZ with $15 Thank you so much. Hey crew, my brother warned me not to watch the new Death Stranding trailer due to it giving too much away. One of your thoughts? Surely Gojima wouldn't tell us anything that we shouldn't know, right? The trailer is incomprehensible. So I don't. There's
a couple things like about like BB. There is a like spoiler in there for that, but I think that's about it. And even that, without context, you would have no idea what they're talking about.
I think the things people don't take is spoilers are spoilers with context. There was a moment in Javed's Good Blood video on learning to love the Outer Wilds, which we said is spoiler free. There was a moment in there, and a few people complained that is a spoiler, and that was only people who had completed the game and loved the game to be able to know that the thing is important. Because if you're not, it is not. That is just an image. That's what, to me, all these images in Death Stranding 2, I'm like, some of these might be from the end game, some of these might be spoilers, but to me, it's just a cacophony of insanity.
That
I like the vibes of that cacophony.
That drives me insane when people do that in the comments. Like, this is a spoiler. It's like, people that have not played the game would have no idea unless you tell them it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
And they won't remember either.
You're spoiling it for them. Yeah.
It's just that righteous indignation of I'd never.
How could you? John Connor, thank you so much. $5 Canadian. Do you think people don't get into gaming because they're scared of sunken costs, even if they enjoy any gaming they have experienced?
That was Nick Offerman's experience.
Oh yeah,
too much Banjo-Kazooie. He said he would never. He was afraid that he would just never do anything else, so he stopped gaming.
Yeah,
my dad did that. My dad got addicted to Halo at one point. I gave my extra disc. He played it like every night, and then he finally just one day comes into my room with a disc in hand. Is like, I had to uninstall this. You got to take this away from me.
Yeah, you got it. We can't do this.
And that was the one time I connected with him on video games.
There you go. Denmark with $5, taking time away from Persona. I appreciate it, Denmark. My friends are all into Baldur's Gate, and I'm the only one playing the silly Persona game. You know what, Denmark? I'm also playing the silly Persona game and not playing Baldur's Gate. So there's dozens of us. Not as many people who are playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Ooh, I don't think I said that game's name.
Fantasy?
Fantasy? Yeah. What's your fantasy?
To be blue.
We'll let you have that.
There you go. Superb Owner with a $10 dono. Thank you so much. I like Guess the Game because I can get that sense of completion satisfaction on a daily basis. Looking forward to when it finally catches up with every game ever released so I can finally roll credits. But then you know what to go do? Just choose six images from different images from a game. You just reuse it. New images. I like Guess the Game too. I wish that could be somehow. I feel like whoever makes Guess the Game deserves to be paid.
Let's buy it from them like New York Times bought Wordle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
oh, no.
put it on a paywall.
We'll only give you $100 for it.
Oh no. Witticism with a $10 dono. Thank you so much. Unless I really don't enjoy a game, it will languish on my hard drive for years until I go back to finish it. There's a sense of satisfaction I get from finishing them, separate from how fun they are. Which I get. Like there's a nice being able
Marvel's
to be like
Midnight Suns for me.
You didn't finish it?
There.
You all need therapy.
No. We do. That's one of those games like I enjoy it, but God, it doesn't get boring.
Is it a generational thing? Because I love when like we make plans, and obviously I love going out with friends and stuff. But if any of them are like, "Oh, rain check," I was like, "Oh no, so back to bed." You know? I'll make plans just to cancel plans because it's that cathartic.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to be more feeling the need. So I'm more. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've learned to just be like, if something's not making me happy, I could probably just excise it from my life.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
That's when I became addicted to drugs.
Oh,
Lauren, $10 dono. Thank you so much. I felt compelled to play Persona 5 Royals New Game Plus because I got the original Persona 5 ending on a first go. Second time, got the Royal ending, and it was super worth it. Even New Game Plus was super enjoyable with a different ending. So that's another. If you're enjoying something and you roll credits and you're like, I just want to go back. I want to do that again. I want to experience that again with the knowledge I have now. I appreciate that. I'm usually not like that because I always feel like I need to jump on the next thing. But yeah, I don't know. Has there ever been like a single player game you guys finished and then we're like, let's just do it again. Let's just roll through this again.
It wasn't by choice, but Lords of the Fallen. Because Lords of the Fallen wiped my save, so I lost 30 hours of progress, and then put 50 hours into a second playthrough. So
you got lorded.
I did. I was not
a genuine lorded.
Moment. But then I created a better character, and then I was having more fun. So
see?
I don't know.
There you go. Usually second, yeah. Restarting a game with the knowledge you have after 20, 30, 40 hours means you can usually cruise through those opening hours pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Alex
Unless they make you
Augusta.
do all those walking along cutscenes.
That is true. That's never good.
Yahtzee's favorite.
Alex Augusto with a $2 dono, and then with another $2 dono. Thank you so much, Alex. How do you feel about Attack on Titan? I still have the final 2 episodes that I haven't watched.
It's finally
But,
over.
Yeah, I should probably just watch it.
I started that. I got like most of the way through season 1, and then
Too scary.
I just stopped watching it again.
No, too scary.
I just, like I said, I'm really bad about that. Like, I will start something like Tears of the Kingdom, get sidetracked, and then I'm like, I want to go finish that. I want to go back, and then I'm like, oh, the time investment. Now I'm stressed and I don't want to do it.
Yeah. My thing with finishing Attack on Titan is now it's been long enough to where I'm like, I feel like I need a refresher on the first 95% of it before I go into that last 5%. And I don't think that means I'm not gonna like go and like rewatch it all.
Yeah,
but
you
I feel
are.
like I need
Don't lie
to.
to yourself.
I don't think so. I didn't, because I liked Attack on Titan. I didn't love Attack on Titan. So like, and it's just long enough to where like I'll go back and rewatch Cowboy Bebop or Neon Genesis Evangelion or like Sunny Boy or Odd Taxi or Steins Gate a million times. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that with Attack on Titan. But I do want to see how it ends. Hashtag Aaron Yeager did everything wrong. Tsunami Doucher with a $20 dono. Thank you so much. I got The Last of Us bundled with my PS4 on purchase. The game had good reviews, so I played it and hated it. But because I had gotten so far as I did, I kept going to finish it. Felt nothing for the characters or the ending.
Just imagine all the fun, delicious things you could be doing instead of forcing yourself to finish games you don't like. You could be reading books, getting laid while reading books.
Oh my
like
God, the big
Oppenheimer.
two.
Yeah.
The big two, like Oppenheimer while reading the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, The Last of Us isn't super long, so like the first one isn't terribly long.
They had to play it so they could tell us that in a super chat.
Fair,
if you got it free with a thing, and if everyone, you kind of want to be like, am I crazy or is everyone else crazy? And you get to the end of it, and then you're like, well, maybe we're all crazy. Yeah. Pigeon on B&M, thank you so much for the £10 dono. Cruelty Squad's first ending is basically go find the other endings, and the game is so full of secrets and optional areas, which made it the only game where I enjoyed hunting for secrets post ending. I guess there's some games where that's
I think as long as it's tied into the gameplay mechanics, like that's fun enough. But you want me to play a secret ending near, and I have to go through the same game over and over again.
That's just a game.
The credits told me otherwise.
That's the thing. Is like that's the weird one where like if someone to me, I'm like everyone's opinion is valid except if you have a near opinion and you haven't played through E, because then I'm like, well, I just don't. Your opinion is just not valid to me. I'm gonna mute you when it comes to near.
See, the real hack for secret endings or different endings in like a Mass Effect and RPG, just save right before that final mission and then just click a different option.
No.
Well, I guess Mass Effect's a bad the one.
So we have YouTube playthroughs now.
Yeah, I just watched. I got the end of Spec Ops, and I was like,
function.
and I was like, I'll just watch the rest of the endings.
Yeah.
And it turned out mine was the worst. Spoilers. Foxy454 with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. On the Afraid to Start subject, Pathologic 2. That is one of those games people love, and I look at it and I'm like, I don't get this. I don't get this at all. But man, the people who love it, like.
We need to put that on Yahtzee Char's list so people stop asking him about it. Dark one.
Then that's him giving that's given into the
they won't. They'll just
give
not
the people
ask
what
about
they
other
want.
games.
But then he's gonna play it, and then remember when we played Omori finally, and they're like, you didn't do it right.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, and Signalis. Yep.
Yeah, you didn't do it.
You're gonna love this game. Well, you played it wrong.
the amount of people mad at his Pal World. I had to keep doing it. Pal World playthrough because he's like. They're like, you didn't read all the menus for fixing and building things. Like, he's streaming a game. What do you want? Like, it's kind of hard.
Also,
to
before he played it, I can tell you he's gonna fucking hate it. Yeah. There's just certain games where you're just like, obviously he's gonna hate this thing.
Yep.
Andrew Shug, new member, $5 Thank you so much, Andrew. I like buying games, but I only start maybe 1 out of 10 games I buy, and I complete maybe 1 out of 10 games I start. Worst gamer, Toffee. The last word is just toffee.
Oh, it's a little retail therapy, it's fine.
There's nothing bad.
Sometimes the fun is just buying the game.
Yeah.
That's it. I got my fun right there. Don't have
Buy
to
a bunch of
open it.
old Dreamcast games, and it bring me a little bit of joy in this dark world.
I still have Destiny in plastic wrap. It was more fun buying the game than actually
Destiny
like
1?
yeah, one.
Sometimes it's nice. Yeah, maybe that'll be worth someday.
I have a lot of games. I have a lot of games in plastic wrap because we were like Escapist could be hit or miss about review copies. And then I was like, I like had a bunch of games on pre-order and I forgot, and it just kept showing up at my door. I was like, oh shit, I should probably go cancel those. Then I'd forget again.
That's why you got to go digital.
So
Go digi. You can just buy the day.
Never, because now that those are in shrink wrap, and if I never open them, I'll be able to pay for my kids' college with a copy of
Fucking
Destiny.
Immortals of Avium.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Urbanim with 50s. Woti, thank you so much, Urbanim. I'm 40 minutes late to the party, so it may have already come up. I treat my games like my relationships. I'm okay to move on when the spark is gone, but I still stay in touch and wonder how they're doing sometimes.
That's
incredibly adult and mature way to think about things, Urbanim.
You gotta unfollow that X on Instagram.
That's okay. Now we've gone back to creepy. Yeah, I treat games very much like stocks, where it's just the money I'm putting into it, just pretend it's already gone. Just maybe you can make some money out of it. Maybe you have a good time, but never go in thinking anyone owes you anything.
Steam just added a new hide from library function. It existed before, but now you can just buy a game and hide it from your library. So if you just get the high from buying games, you can just hide it. Once you
Why would you do that?
Oh, that's for like to hide your crankers. Hide like a crank.
Oh, well, but yeah, well, it's partially because people were tired of buying those hentai and porn games and having them show up in their library.
Be proud.
Now you can hide your purchases.
Yeah, what?
Be proud of your pornography. I'm not judging you. Ryan Betts. Welcome to Tip Jar, Ryan, and a $5 donation as well. Long-form video essay recommendation of the week for you essay heads. Daryl Talks Games Closure in Gaming video tackles the psychology of the subject. Daryl Talks Games is incredible. One of my favorite video essayists. I recommend all of his videos. He just had a great one on sort of the psychology of additional context in games, and he goes into Near Replicant. And how playing through the game the first time, you think things are one thing, and then you play through it a second time, and you have new context, and you completely reframe everything you've done. Good video. So it's a little bit like Memento. Yeah, exactly.
Nolan game. That's what I'm hearing.
For Nolan's Near Automata. A superb owner with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. Monty Python and the Holy Grail's best content comes after the credits. So glad I stuck around. What an amazing goof. See? I always do that in theaters, too. I don't want to be the first one out, unless I have to go pee-pee. If I have to go pee-pee, I'll be the first one out of the theater. If I don't have to go pee-pee, I'll just keep sitting there. I like seeing if there's any goofs or guffaws at the end. I like when people thank the state of Georgia. I think it's very nice at the end of the film. Tommy Salty, Tenzwoti, thank you so much. Not finishing a game is a bit like breaking up.
They don't all have to be violent, though.
I like how both our Polish contingency is like very much comparing video games to breaking up, which is great. It's just a very Polish thing to do. Then Tommy's back with another Tenzwoti. Thank you so much. Less weeb shit, more strategy games. I dare you. I don't think strategy games stream well, right?
I played the Universum. That was fun. I threw a boulder at you.
I don't know. I feel like just a bunch of clicking and small text and waiting for things to happen.
Completely missing the strategy of it.
Is it fun to watch? It might be fun to play, but like, I don't know. It's like you got to have games that are like conducive to spoofing and goofing. There's some games that I feel like if you have to pay too much.
There's good goofs and spoofs and strategy games when you get completely outflanked and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? My whole world's falling apart.
If you have to pay too much attention to the game, I feel like the spoofs and goofs go away.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like whenever I play those games, I'm already like zoomed in as much as possible. Like, what are you guys doing in there? So I can't imagine that watching it through stream. They're like, he got flanked so hard just now. I think
the Universum makes fun of you for doing that because the little people will be woohooing, and then you like zoom in, like the game like literally says, "Oh, I see you peeping on them."
Oh, you peeping on the woohoos? Yeah. Classic woohoo peep.
I'll zoom back out.
Then Gilden with our final super chat of the moment with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, Gilden. Some games are unfinishable, like Minecraft or MMOs, and people love them for that, but I think there reaches a point where the gameplay wears out. Again, at a certain point, that becomes like less about gameplay and more, in Minecraft and MMOs. I feel like people use it as a hangout.
Also, Minecraft has tons and tons of mods that keep that game fresh for people. So
Yeah,
Modifications.
a lot of mods. It is. I've heard of this plenty of times. It is harder to give up games that constantly have patches because even if it's in a horrible time, you can go, yeah, but maybe the next patch fixes that, or maybe the next one fixes that, and it
Yeah.
can take you a while before you finally actually actively give up on it.
Yeah.
the person in games media, I hate that. I hate that I have to keep hoping that patches will fix the game that might be enjoyable later because I already don't have time to go back to it. It's like when I'm thinking about Suicide Squad right now. It's like, is this game going to get patches to include more scripted missions later? Because that's what Avengers did. And like
Dude, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, at a certain point, you're like, that's not on me. If you released a thing and then came back 3 years later to try to fix it, then I don't know. The onus is on you to convince me to come back because I already served my time here. But then you get something like a Cyberpunk or whatever that feels like it's made an entire 180.
Yeah,
I was going to say an entire 360, but
yeah, at least that's a game that I just waited until it was done, and then I loved it. So Suicide Squad is like, well, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how to feel about that. I guess it might be delisted at some point, like Avengers was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows where that game's going to be in 5 years? That about wraps it up for us. Closing thoughts. Video games are over whenever you want. We're not your parents. We're not your fucking parents. If you want to be done playing a game, just be done. Go find your
cops
joy.
are gonna get you.
No cops. There's no game cops.
They're watching you. You'll end up in gamer jail.
Oh no, Yuji Naka, and the one guy named Bowser.
Yeah.
Not Doug Bowser, the other Bowser.
I know the comments on this video is just a way for games media to give their reasons for not finishing games. I know it's coming.
No one's gonna comment.
But that's the thing, though, is that
give me $20 if they do.
I'm sure that they will, but that's the thing. You can look on Steam and see how many people actually finish their games. It's not a lot. Funny enough, it feels like people who aren't so much in the space, they have a very a healthy relationship with gaming. I'm here, I'm having fun. I'm out. Yep, the happy people are not here.
Anybody that talks about games online or makes money from talking about games online is in a very awful space.
Well, it's when something becomes your identity, and you're like, that's unhealthy. It's like distinctly unhealthy to have a piece of entertainment or pop culture be tethered to your identity, whether it's sports, whether it's a movie franchise, whether it's a video game console. That is deeply unhealthy, and I suggest finding other sources of enjoyment in life, like Frost, who has so many sources of enjoyment. Frost, where can folks find you? What should folks check out?
All right, go give it a look at the old Cold Take. Have a go. It's played 60 hours of Power World. It's probably closer to 100 now. And I think the video's only been out like a week. And then we got the old Chronicle. It's a fun time, absolutely. But later we are going to be back to stream. What is it? We're going to stream
Always in Mind.
Little demo, yeah, Always in Mind.
Yeah, Frost and I'll be back in about 90 minutes, 3 p.m. Central for a nice little sponsored stream.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
I'm
gonna try out that demo. You guys get to see that. I'm gonna try out as many as I can get my hands on in these 8 days.
We're gonna be doing so many demos.
Oh yeah.
We're just gonna throw up on people. Nick, speaking of throwing up on people, what do you got going on?
I have got my next script approved from Marty, the man over here. So I'll be working on that this week and hopefully have it ready to go this weekend. I am going with the name Unpacked. I don't remember who suggested it, but I will go check it in the comments and maybe deliver you a Steam key or something.
Wasn't it literally me? Because I titled your last video Unpacking.
No, somebody specifically in the comments mentioned Unpacked.
Oh,
that's a video game,
and you get Steam keys all the time. So let me do something else.
I had that written series, The Takeaway, at the Escapist, and it was originally going to be called Unpacked, but it was right when Unpacking came out, and I was like, this is going to be a monster to Google, but it's fine. Unpacking's been years now. I like Unpacking.
And so we're going to go with that. It's on the true cost of live service games. So a bit more business talk on that, and I've definitely got my next script in mind with all this Xbox news leaking rumor, whatever the fuck's going on with Xbox. And then just make sure to check out all of our other stuff. Like we said with our sponsored stuff, we only want to sponsor stuff that's cool. So expect more sponsored streams on cool indie games that might be worth checking out. And keep an eye out for some cool D&D related sponsors with the first new episode of Adventurous Night this Saturday. We're there, boys. We made it.
Doggy.
We made it.
We did it.
And then 6 p.m. tonight, or 6 p.m. That's
6
right. Hidden Gems. The crew will be back playing Go Mecha Ball.
Go Mecha Ball, which actually looks like a lot of fun. I've been wanting to install that on my Steam Deck.
Yeah. So there you go. And then last couple donos coming in late. Eric, thank you so much for the dono. Can you be my parents though? Eric, we like to think of you as our dad. Eric, we call you Stream Daddy in meetings you're not in.
Except when you send in donos, then we want to put you in the corner.
Oh no, Stream Daddy sent in a dono. I told you not to. Thank you, Stream Daddy. SVS Guru with €5. Thank you so much, SVS Guru. Will Suicide Squad even live long enough to release that Joker at Home DLC they announced pre-launch, or will it commit suicide before that? I'm sure it'll release that DLC.
Yeah,
whether
I don't think it's
stuff
going
a year or
anywhere
two out.
Yeah,
whether stuff a year or two from now. That is remains to be seen. And a superb owner with a $2 dono. Will Second Wind be doing a Dice Award stream? That is the plan. The Dice Awards are I'm gonna be honest, I don't know when they are. I believe they're in the back half of the month. So whenever that is, we will plan to do a live watch along stream to that and see how the Dice Awards are compared to our good friend Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards. So yeah, that's it. For Frost, for Nick, for Eric, thank you guys so much for watching Windbreaker episode number 10. Stay tuned for Frost and I in 90 minutes, coming back with our sponsor stream for Always in Mind, and then later today at 6 p.m. Central, the Monday Maniacs with Go Mecha Ball. And other than that, we will see you guys later. Bye, everyone.